Hey peeps, I wanted to do a little bit of an informal kind of chit chat around building relationship and connection with deity and guides in our path and practice. I recently posted for my Patreon peeps who are at the monthly tutorial level a video on how to begin connecting with deity or guides and building real relationship with them. And this really has had me reflecting a great deal on how I experience the aliveness of my connection, relationship, and partnership with deity in my path and journey. And I don't want to give a tutorial style video here. I just really want to speak to some personal reflection and also how powerful I find decks like Tiera May's Ritual Tarot or Gabby Herstik's Goddess of Love Oracle. Let me make sure I said that right. Yes, Goddess of Love Tarot, not Oracle. In regards to kind of serving as the entry point to building connection with deity. And, you know, I believe it was probably a few months ago now, I had seen some perspectives from other practitioners around building relationship with deity and guides. And there was an offering of their personal viewpoints that, you know, your deity is not your best friend, your deity is not your partner kind of energy. And I was really reflecting on how I experience connection and relationship with deity in a different way. And that I think being able to express that here within my channel and community is important, to offer other perspectives as well, because I am a firm believer that there is no one truth to anything. And anytime we open ourselves up to perspectives that we may not agree with or that cause us to think outside the box, it can be good for us. You know, even if we decide not to carry that perspective with us, it doesn't mean that we haven't grown for the examination of it. And so that's what I kind of want to chat about today, because I did pause for a moment and think, you know, reverence and connection with deity and guides is a powerful and important part of practice for sure. But for me, to venerate a god or guide and look at them as something above me or outside of me that I can only turn to ask for assistance or help is very much in alignment with kind of Christian, religious, patriarchal values. And it's not a place that I find my home within. And also, just for me personally, because of the religious trauma that I experienced as a child, my connection with deity and guides is really what allowed me to survive my childhood. And those connections and relationships were very personal. They were very much a connection of someone who, an energy and entity that is your best friend. And I really do look at all things as having an aliveness within them, an energy and essence to them that we can choose to get to know if we desire to. And sometimes those energies and essences, those entities wish to get to know us as well, too. I do find that particular connection with specific deity for me does tend to be more intimate than others. So for example, goddesses that are walking with me long term, like Isis, Lilith, and Hecate, those connections are very, very intimate and personal. My relationship and connection with Satan and Cernunnos, or the White Stag, very intimate, very personal. Whereas other deity that I may connect with here and there, or for very specific reasons, may feel a little less intimate, but no less honest. And always I find my connection with deity and guides to be very real. I had a very powerful experience during my first Reiki attunement, which is an initiatory process of connecting to a male deity and, well, I would say a male guide. He wasn't a god, but a male guide associated with the forest. And I remember how powerful his voice was, his energy and essence coming through in that initiatory rite. And an understanding of how my life was going to change because of this attunement and the process of beginning a path of working as an energy practitioner, as a healer in that level, which was different to the intuitive and psychic work that I had been doing, but very much working in alignment. And my studying under him energetically, because thankfully I did have a very intelligent teacher who instructed me to journey with him over a period of time and communicate with him often. My tutelage, my apprenticeship with his energy was very powerful in understanding how I was meant to work with energy healing and the physical body for my clients at that point in time. And if I had not allowed myself to be intimate and a bit personal in the connection with him, I don't know how much I would have come to understand energetic blueprints in the physical body and outside of the physical body in the energy body, and how to interpret that personally in my practice and work. Because my relationship with my deity and guides is so intimate, so very much a conversation that I invest in the same way I would a best friend or a lover, or even in the way that I consciously make time every day to communicate with my son about his feelings. By investing in my relationship with deity and guides at that same level that I do with the human connections in my life, there is a real intimacy and fulfillment that comes from walking with them. And I'm able to learn from them in ways where it becomes, yes, to use a buzzword now, a personal gnosis experience. And so my understanding of certain tenets within witchcraft or left-hand path practice comes, I would say, directly from the source and how it's going to apply for me personally. And so to have a space between me and a deity or guide where I would require a middleman, or I would have to be a supplicant or a suppliant in order to connect with them, doesn't feel authentic and right for me personally. That doesn't mean if that feels right for you that I'm saying you're wrong, not at all. But I did want to offer some reflections on this within the It's Witchcraft series, so that if you are someone who is experiencing connection with, let's say, Lilith as a friendship that's building in its trust over time, you aren't feeling a sense of that being wrong, because other traditions may say that that's not appropriate. This is the beauty of a left-hand path or an alternative spiritual path, is that ultimately we have to check in with ourselves, with our internal compass and our own inner knowing, if something is right or appropriate for us. And I can say from personal experience that my connection with deity and guides being so intimate, being so very much a partnership, a relationship, has brought nothing but fulfillment and confidence for me in my life in general and in my life as a witch and as a priestess. They've really assisted me to build a language and a level of trust with them so that I can give messages from the other side, whether that's from guides or faces of deity or from deceased loved ones. And so building that language and that sense of connection has been essential. It's a tutelage that is like no other. And it is one that does require investment. And to me, the investment on my end of things to make that time, that's an expression of my reverence, of my honor, of the awe that I have for these beings. And their response by investing in return is an indication of the importance of the connection and the level of attention and intention that I should continue to give to that relationship and connection. And I wanted to speak here to the ritual tarot around this, because I do think when we're building that kind of intimate connection with deity, it's not casual, but it is daily. I talk to Lilith, I talk to Isis, I talk to Hecate and Venus throughout my day. Not only in the morning when I light my candle and do my daily draw and I journal and I ask them what it is I may need to understand or open to or explore. I'm also chatting with them while I make my breakfast, in between reads, asking for their assistance in clearing my energy field so I'm not bogged down by entities that are attached after readings. All of these things are ways in which I stay constantly connected. And I do love to work with tarot, and especially a deck like the Ritual Tarot or the Goddess of Love Tarot, which are collage based, and they just, for me, are a very helpful way to access the symbolism that helps to affirm what I'm picking up on in conversation with them. But I very much work with my decks in an informal way, I suppose we could say, as a means of communicating with them through the day. So I just wanted to share and demonstrate that a little bit for you. And if you're someone who's new to deity work or to connecting with guides, and you're unsure of, is it okay to be more intimate in my connection with them? Do I only talk to them when I've worked ritual? Can I only communicate with them when I need something or I want something? Do I always have to leave an offering in order to talk to them? I just want to offer a slightly different perspective, coming from a space of, for me, the attention is what signifies the importance and the reverence of the connection, and allowing it to be something that is felt and experienced in my daily life anchors my path, my lineage into physicality and reality in such a way that I feel I'm embodying and living my path and my relationship with those gods. But just to give you some jumping off points in case you want to explore communicating more with your deity on the daily, I will often, as I'm moving throughout the day, because I do have my decks everywhere, because I am very blessed to be able to work full-time in this path from a career perspective, I will often just pull a deck like this, because I'll always have a deck similar to this sitting out on my table. And I will just ask, let's say that I'm ruminating on something, right? Maybe I'm sitting with something that seems very finite, and some of us may say, oh, I don't want to bother my deity with that. In my experience, they want to be a part of those things. They love to chat about the intricacies of the human experience. To have chosen to incarnate in a physical body, I think, is something that is fascinating to all entities and energies out there. And I think oftentimes we may wonder, like, why did I choose to incarnate into this experience at this time too, right? It's something that's like kind of mind-boggling and fascinating in really intriguing ways to be human, right? So I have always found that deity and guides do wish to share conversation with us about kind of those smaller things. So let's say as I'm moving through my day, if I'm really struggling with a memory from the past that's weighing heavy on my heart, I might just pull out a deck like the Ritual Tarot, and I might ask Lilith, who I say Lilith because I'm working very intimately with Lilith right now. I might say, what is it? Why is this memory weighing so on my heart today? And then just pull a card. And here we have the Seven of Cups. Now, why I wanted to share the Ritual Tarot around this, as opposed to, say, a traditional Rider-Waite-Smith based deck and its imagery, is that this opens up a lot of doorways for Lilith to share an affirmation or a message for me around a great deal of symbolism that's within this card. So there is the traditional meaning to the Seven of Cups, but there's also all these rich layers, this tapestry of symbolism, of color, of imagery, that will let me experience nuance in understanding her message for me. So not only am I perhaps viewing the past with rose-colored glasses here with the Seven of Cups, wanting to connect with a fantasy of something over the reality of it, there's also a power to the death magic of the poppies here, the vessel, the intuition that's offered through the cups that we see repeated in the Seven of Cups itself. And there is this sense of abandon that is representative of the Magdalene shown here as well. So there's a lineage. We also have this beautiful energy in reference to Capricorn energy here in one of these vessels as well. And there's also the beauty of the crystalline essence that's shown here in one of the crystals. And so as you keep diving through this imagery, you start to connect with an even more nuanced level of messaging from the deity or guide that you're connecting with, that allows you to take time to reflect and to build not only relationship with them, but understanding of how they communicate with you. And so I do find decks like the Ritual Tarot or the Goddess of Love Tarot are wonderful ways that we can build that type of daily communication that lets us feel connected to our gods and our path every day, instead of something that we just touch upon at ritual times and for very specific reasons. I do see my gods as being alive and sentient energies, as well as also attached to an archetypal essence that, when we bring it back to its core, is connected to Sophia and the void, the energy from which we all emanate and we all are born and then all return to. And so by choosing to talk to my gods and to feel connected to them as if we were in relationship, this is something that's deeply fulfilling for me. It's an essential part of my practice. And I don't think I will ever shift from that means of connecting and talking and walking with my gods. It's a real walk. And so it is very based in the physical and the mundane, as well as the elevated and the ritualistic and the occult, if you will. And I do think this is something for us all to reflect on. How do we experience connection with our deity and guides? How can we build that? How would we like to experience it? And decks that have multiple faces of deity expressed in them, like Caitlin McCarthy's Dark Goddesses Oracle, are wonderful ways to have an affirmation that a specific face of the divine wants to walk with us, wants to talk with us, wants to connect with us. And from there, how we choose to build relationship with them allows us to experience a level of intimacy and fulfillment, or a level of tradition that may speak to us more authentically in our journey. But for me, this kind of daily approach and an experience of relationship with deity is something that is so very fulfilling. And another aspect of this that I've been reflecting on over the last week, having unboxed that Oracle of Heaven and Hell deck, is that I don't feel much when I just know the history of an entity, in this case, an angel or a demon. I like to get to know them personally, which means that I'm not only talking to my gods about what do I need to know, but what is an aspect of them that they would like to share with me on any given day. So for instance, here, if I were to ask Lilith, what may I come to understand about you as I move through this day? Here we have the Emperor. We have a repeated image coming from the Seven of Cups here as well, which builds a sense of connection, a bridge, if you will, to understanding her and how she relates to me personally. And there's a sense of power and leadership that we know holds itself in the essence of the Emperor as a tarot card. But within this card as well is a sense of the lustiness of Lilith being a deep level of her power and how she connects with us, the opulence, the lustiness of the reds, the power and the regalness of the mountains in the background, and this sense of honoring story that we feel with this ram as the Pope here in its imagery for this particular Emperor card, with the circles repeated within the buttons shown here, the transformation and rebirth that occurs only in the night with the moth at the top of this imagery. There's so much to learn and understand about Lilith through the drawing of this particular card. And so the conversation then becomes a two-way street. It's not just about what I'm going through or getting to know myself, but also about understanding the essence of the deity, the guide, the entity or energy that I'm connecting with. And there's a deep level of fulfillment, of personalizing the path, and of anchoring into your own tradition and lineage that comes from that type of connection and investment that you are making. Because it really is an investment when you're connecting with something or someone at a daily level. So these are some thoughts on how I experience connection to deity and guides in my path as a witch and a priestess. And I hope that it can serve as a jumping off point for you. And of course, thank you for hanging out with me for a little bit and sharing space as I sit with some of my own ruminations on connection with deity over the last few months. And especially in a year that's been very much about personal growth for me as well. Connection to relationship with deity has been an integral part of that. And so getting to offer a sense of appreciation and gratitude to them by speaking about this on the channel is a way that I can anchor into that energy as well. So thank you for holding space for that. I am sending you, as always, oceans of love, and I will, of course, see you in the next video. Take care.